So today we are going to be talking about the food cultural connection. And, when we talk about African Americans or the descendants of slaves across the world, there's definitely a connection to food. Food has been our way of um, escapism. Like when you talk about slavery and we talk about other harsh conditions like Jim Crow and all those other things, food was our only thing that we could call our own, our style of food. And so there's definitely a cultural connection with soul food. And it's hard. It's hard to break away from what we so intimately identify with. So when we talk about the food cultural connection, we talk about seeking pleasure that stems from our childhood and from our ancestors all the way back to slavery. In During slavery, we know that we weren't allowed access to some of the fancier, if you will, foods. Like we were forced to eat food from the garden, food from the fields, and contrary to popular belief, we didn't eat a lot of meat. I mean, we had the scraps like intestines, which we now endearingly call chitterlings because we season them up. And some people enjoy that. I'm not one of them. But during slavery, we didn't use a lot of meat. So soul food is something that was born out of our freedom from slavery. Now, we may have used meat as a seasoning, meaning we put scraps of turkey that we were given into our greens or scraps of bacon into our cabbage. Whatever scraps we had, we would use it to season the vegetables or the beans that we were eating. So what we had, we were actually accustomed to because most slaves came from West Africa, and the West African diet was largely bean-based: beans, rice, wheats, grains, all of those things that Mother Earth provides for us. And then we talk about economic conditions. When you fast forward past slavery, past Jim Crow, we move into civil rights, we move into modern day food deserts. The economic conditions have never been favorable enough for us to, as a whole, there are pockets of us who have been able to thrive, but as a whole, economic conditions have never been in our favor. And so that has led us to what I call food slavery. And this food slavery, because it has been, again, limited to our neighborhoods, limited to poverty-stricken neighborhoods and communities, we developed a personal and cultural identity around it, right? So we created this attachment. And so we talk about the food cultural connection. It is really an emotional connection. And our emotions do the majority of our emotions make the majority of our food choices. They just do. And so in order to really understand the food cultural connection, we have to examine our emotions and the role they play in what we choose to eat. And again, our emotions equal our food choices. And so although it stems from a cultural connection, it's bigger than that. It is the emotions that we have that are connected to those foods. The Sunday dinners, the time you spend with your grandmother's house, the food you ate for the holidays, those moments are what are so intimately connected to our food choices modern day. But now we don't have to let that be our reality anymore. So you should understand that food should help you, not hurt you. If you're eating something that's contributing to your pain, to your suffering, to your disease, to your sickness, you shouldn't be eating it. It's that simple. Food should not be influenced by marketing, meaning if you see a commercial, if it has a commercial, actually, you shouldn't be eating it, right? Because very rarely, if at all, will you see a commercial for an apple or for grapes or for kale or collard greens. You just don't see that because those are foods that come from the earth and we should naturally be eating. And food should be your fuel. If you are tired after eating, you're either A, eating too much, or B, eating the wrong thing. You should be energized, not tired after consuming a meal. So how do we break the link, right? How do we break the link, the food cultural connection, the emotional connection? How do we get past that so that we can sustain a healthy diet, right? A healthy lifestyle. Well, the first thing you should do is avoid particular settings, particularly for African Americans. If you know Big Mama's going to be cooking some collard greens with neck bones and pork chops and all that in it, you probably need to stay away from there for a while until you're strong enough to resist it, right? You need to be consistent as much as possible. Now, you should also be forgiving. If you say, I'm not going to eat meat, and then you have a slip up, you should be forgiving, because you probably went longer than you ever have without eating meat by just making that declaration. And you will continue to get better and better and go longer periods of time the more consistent you are. Okay. Find like-minded people or situations. Now, I've given many talks and workshops about finding like-minded people. That is a difficult one sometimes. Oftentimes, those of us who choose to go vegan or vegetarian or become deliberate eaters are by ourselves a lot of times. And so it's hard to find or surround ourselves with like-minded people. What you can do is immerse yourself in people from around the world. Use Facebook groups. There's a lot of Black vegan Facebook groups on Facebook, Instagram. I mean, you can find them everywhere. And then you can also just spend time on YouTube. I used to get so excited finding new recipes on YouTube that other soul food vegans have posted, and then trying it out. That excitement sustained my desire to keep that lifestyle. So be creative in finding like-minded people or situations. The next one is stop buying fake food. When I say fake food, I mean anything that is food like the items that are in the middle of the store. Try to shop the perimeter of the store where it's true food. Don't buy the processed food. Don't buy the junk food. If you don't have it in your house, you're less likely to eat it. Okay. The next one is to slowly change your diet. Don't say I'm giving up everything right now, because it usually doesn't work that way, right? I made the transition very slowly. I gave up pork 30 years ago, right? And then I gave up beef and then pork. I chose one thing at a time to give up. And processed food was one of the last, because you can still get a lot of food like macaroni and cheese and all that kind of stuff in the middle of the store that makes you a vegan, right? It makes you a vegetarian, but it doesn't necessarily make you healthier. So give up one thing at a time, and then remember your reasons, right? Why are you choosing a new lifestyle? Why? Do you want to be here longer for your kids? Do you have health conditions that you're trying to beat? What are your reasons? And always remind yourself of your reasons. And remember, you're always only one choice away. So don't stress yourself out about tomorrow or next week. Focus on today and what you're not going to do or what you are going to do today. Okay. And then you need to examine your psychology of food, right? And that's kind of what I was talking about earlier. You need to realize how you think about food. What connections do you have with certain foods? And address it, tackle it, look at it, examine it, and then and only then can you begin to address it. Because sometimes we are craving certain foods and we don't even know why, or we might not even really want that. But because we're connected to it through our families, through traditions, through whatever, we're eating it, we're consuming it, and it's no good for us. So just really take a closer look at why and how you think about food. And then claim your lifestyle, right? You want to take a holistic approach to your lifestyle, right? And that means never involve yourself in unnatural diets. There's a lot of fad diets out there. High protein, low carbs, high fat, no sugar. It's all these different things. And that's an isolated approach. The best approach to becoming healthy and having a healthy lifestyle is to focus on the overall quality of the diet. One food isn't going to make or break you, right? One vitamin, one nutrient, one mineral isn't going to make you or break you. You need to focus holistically. Look at the whole picture. Okay. That's the only way you're going to become healthy, because truthfully, one vitamin depends on another vitamin, and that vitamin depends on a mineral, and that mineral depends on an antioxidant. We're a system. We're a full, complete system, and we all are interconnected. That includes our vitamins and minerals and all of that. So please avoid isolating your foods and joining in these fad diets, and just take a lifestyle from a holistic approach. Okay. So please make sure you download the PDF